It's the Playhouse Podcast with Kat and JJ.
Believe it. I missed everything.
Missed the show?
What am I going to do?
Check out the Daily Podcast.
If you're a woman listening to this and you were planning on grabbing some underwear at Walmart or Target, they're likely all sold out because Kat is planning for a vacation. How many pairs is she packing? This was ridiculous this morning. We'll play that back for you in a couple of seconds. Here comes the podcast. I don't know why, but doing this show for so long with you, one of the things that crept into my mind one morning, I'm sitting there, I'm having a cup of coffee, I'm staring outside, I'm watching the sunrise. I'm like, this is such a beautiful life. And then what popped into my head is when you would call the guy that works on our other station, Daddy. And you guys had this weird back and forth for years.
I still do. He'll say, "What's up, Mama?" Say, "What's up, Daddy?"
It's so nasty. It's just such a trashy thing to do.
It bothers you more than it bothers my husband. Derek will laugh about it. Why does it bother you?
It just makes me uncomfortable.
Daddy. It's because no one's calling you that.
No, if in the highest moment of intimacy, my wife looked at me and went, "Oh, give it to me, Daddy."
Oh, gross!
I would have to start laughing. I would belly laugh, and it would be over. I would just go, "I'm going out to play pool." I don't know why, and I'm sure some guys find it great. And listen, if you do it and it's part of your relationship, good for you. Do what works for you. But if my wife ever once just went, "Oh, Daddy," I would just stop.
Don't knock it.
It's just so.
It's all in the breath too.
It's so trashy.
Daddy.
So my question is, do you have anything that you're kind of calling? Do you have a kind of a pet name for Derek?
Babe or hey you?
Most people use babe. I respond to idiot, dummy, all sorts of stuff like that. Do you got something you're kind of calling your man?
I have called him Sparky before, and don't ask me why.
Sparky?
Yeah, but that's from National Lampoons. Doesn't she call him Sparky?
That's her nickname is Sparky. Yeah, right.
But...
There's got to be a reason.
Come on, you got to tell us now.
You're laughing.
No, he's like the spark of my life. I just love him.
Oh, I was expecting something better.
He's right by you, isn't he?
Actually, I expected you to say he was kind of like an even keel guy, like how you call, fat guys tiny. Like I was expecting you to call him Sparky just because you were, breaking his balls.
No, he's just, I don't know. I got nothing. Sorry.
All right. Well, I hope you and Sparky have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Would there be one thing that in the highest moment of intimacy, Derek could call you that would absolutely ruin it? I mean, outside of like an ex-girlfriend's name or something like that. But if he thought it was a sexy pet name and he said it, you would just be like, it's over.
No, not that I can think of. But what I do love on that tip is if I'm walking out to my car and I got a strut going and he's parking and I hear, "Hey, Mommy." He'll yell that down the road.
Now,
"Hey, Mommy."
If I did that to my wife, she would call the cops.
Maybe she's waiting for you too.
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine it would make her feel bad.
I'll try it when we're in Punta Cana.
Hey, Mommy. I'm not going to take full credit for this. Derek was talking about it, and he follows this girl. Her name is Sarah on Facebook, and she had posted over the break. It says, "Unfortunately, I think my VWO days are limited. I hate liars, and I love VWO, but maybe this isn't the place for me." And I said, "You're going to have to dumb it down for me. What is VWO?" And he said, "Vikings World Order." So I had so many questions, but I was going through the comments on her Facebook page, and a lot of people are talking about how it's like, this one says, "To me, this organization reminds me of the old Chicago greaser gangs." This one says, "F them. You're better than this, sis. You know who you are. And they're phony." I'm wondering if anybody could shed some light as to what they do. And there's so much support being offered to her.
This is more than just being a rabid fan. Everybody knows I'm a huge Chicago Cubs fan.
Yeah.
But if they had a Cubs World Order that I had to kind of join and be rabid with other people, that doesn't appeal to me.
It sounds a bit ominous. And how do we spot these people? Are they dressed in street clothes? Is it the guy that's covered in fur? I don't know who's the radical.
Do you got to have a helmet with horns on it?
Yeah. This one says, "This is exactly why I backed away, girl." So many people.
They make it sound like the mob.
Yeah. Just do things. I don't want to be associated with them. This one says, "Let's chat privately."
It sounds like ISIS.
Doesn't it sound like there's more to it? Tailgating doesn't mean VWO. We are not VWO. So it sounds like the Vikings world order is 500 plus or more strong. Find your groove and ride with that. I'm speaking from experience. Like, I'm so intrigued to hear about the bad stuff that these Vikings fans do. Like, do they throw hot dogs at people?
Do you kill? Just maim?
Are you the ones that give us a bad name if somebody walks out and those fans won and we didn't, and you throw stuff at them?
Like you're as bad as Philadelphia fans?
I've never heard anything bad about our fans doing anything.
I've been to a couple of games where it got a little out of control.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
It wasn't me. No. It wasn't me. Like, I'm not out there picking fights in the stairwell.
Yeah. I mean, this one, that's exactly why my wife and I exited the VWO when we did. We didn't like some of the stuff that was going on.
What is this?
And being a dedicated Vikings fan for over 50 years, over a half a century, we don't need someone telling us we are Vikings super fans. We are Vikings fans before the leaders of the VWO were even born. Oh, so it's like a younger generation thing.
They don't like the young bucks.
I have so many questions.
Do you know, or are you a member of this? I can keep you anonymous. I can put you on voice change. We just want to know a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
What if your grandma calls? She's like, I didn't want to tell you, but
I started it.
I'm a lead member.
I would love to hear from, there were about 200 comments under hers. So I find it hard to believe that I can throw a stone and not hit somebody that knows.
And the way you made it
this world.
sound is like you can't get out unless they kill you.
That's what it's sounding like. It sounds like it's a really rough group and they're kind of wreaking havoc.
I don't know if you saw this, and I don't know who sent it to me, but Pillsbury Red Velvet and Oreo cookie dough is labeled to be safe to eat right out of the package.
Those are some of my favorite headlines when your parents your whole life said do not eat cookie dough, and now you can screenshot it and send it to their phone and say, you fat liar, I'm going to eat cookie dough whenever I want.
Okay, so I'll flip the script on you. My son, as part of his hockey fundraising, they sold the cookie pucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it says, right, because my wife is notorious about going, can you get me 2 pucks? And I'll grab them out of the freezer. And the other day, I'd left the box out, and my daughter goes, these are not safe to eat. It says, do not eat uncooked.
They say that so they don't get sued. But I made cookie dough the other day with eggs, and I ate the batter.
You're going to get salmonella right away.
Then how come wrestlers can down a glass of 5 eggs?
I think you only see that in Rocky. I don't think that's a thing.
It is a thing. And for being in the weightlifting world, I can't believe you don't know that. But it's a thing. And people do it, and they don't get sick. So it's a lie. It's because moms wanted to take the bowl into their bedroom after telling you no, you're going to get sick. And then they had their way with it.
So your after school snack, we've talked about this, was just a plate, a mound of cheese.
I'd run home. I was so hungry. I remember being just like so hungry. I thought I was going to die. And I'd just load up my plate with like a huge pile of shredded cheese. I'd nuke it for 30 seconds. And then it would have that like golden grease around the circle.
You guys can't see how big she's smiling right now.
My eyes are covered, and I'm just like, I can't do it anymore, or I will balloon up to like 3 times the size. If I lived the way I lived when I was 13, I would be a whole lot of woman to love. But it was so delicious, and I'd grab a fork and then I'd throw it under the couch.
I got one even fatter for you.
What?
I would come home. And this would only fly if there was no one else home. Mom or dad weren't home. I would get a bowl of ice cream out of the gallon bucket. I'd scoop out a bowl of ice cream. I would chocolate sauce the hell out of it with the Hershey's. And I was always so jealous of my friends that were rich because they had the Hershey's in the plastic tube that you could squeeze out. We had the can.
Okay.
It would look like a soup can of Hershey's. And you had to take the can opener and you had to pop one side and then a little triangle on the other side so you could get proper airflow. And I would drizzle it with that.
Sure.
And then I would take 2 Little Debbie Swiss cake rolls and garnish each side of it. I know. And that was the
that went next
best
level.
fat kid after school snack.
Valerie, I'd love for you to call with what you're bringing us as far as information. Caitlin says Cheez-Its and Tostitos with peanut butter was her after school snack.
Cheez-Its and peanut butter?
Brittany said she'd have popcorn every single day. So, Brittany, this is what I do. And I don't know if other people do this because I love burned popcorn.
Ugh.
And so I will leave it on about 30 seconds past the last pop of kernel. And it's so good.
You know who used to do that?
Mussolini.
Hitler.
Is it a deficiency? Like, do I have a deficiency that I need that? Like,
it's just a weird taste.
I
Jessica
love it.
said we would do potato chip and Miracle Whip sandwiches. Spongy white bread with potato chips and Miracle Whip.
Yeah, not so much.
Mo says my favorite after school snack was Cheese Whiz on crackers. Remember that? Did you ever
No.
have the can of Cheese Whiz?
My mom never bought bad stuff.
Oh, we had the can of Cheese Whiz,
Oh.
and then you get that on the saltine, and then you put it.
We'd go over to Lisa Mudge's house a block away because her mom would buy the trash.
Yeah.
And we would help her with chores because she and her sister Kaylee had to do
Who's
chores.
happier now in their life? Lisa Mudge. What was your go-to after school snack?
So I also, on top of not on top physically, but like in addition to the cheese on the plate, I would make a huge box of pastaroni and I would eat it. But if you look at it, it's only like 290 calories for an entire box. And I was a runner. And so I would have a huge bowl of pastaroni all to myself. It was supposed to feed 3. Trevor had texted Oreo cookies crushed up with some milk straight from the bulk tank.
Oh, dude.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, if you're a farmer and you're used to that, I think you can get away with it. But I don't know. This is my favorite text. Jill, one day I ate an entire pack of pepperoni. It's likely preserved in my body 25 years later. Cannot eat pepperoni to this day.
Oh, my God. It sounds pretty good, though, Jill. It's a lot of protein. Karina says toast dipped in ketchup. Megan was a huge lover of Oscar Mayer light bologna with mini marshmallows. Oh, all right. You got
this is Trevor from the bulk tank, right?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, tell me about that. Like, what's the biggest difference? Because it just didn't get pasteurized?
I think it's because if you take when you pull milk from the tank and you go and put it in the fridge, then it's the cream comes to the top, so you can get some of that heavier whipping cream, and you put it on there.
What do you think of us oat milkers? What do you think of us almond milkers? Do you look down
Don't
on
say
me?
us. I don't do that crap.
Almond milk ain't bad.
I like almond milk. I haven't done normal milk, like skim or anything like that, in 4 years.
Oh, yeah?
She doesn't like supporting our local farmers, and I do, though, Trevor. And,
That's exactly what I said. Yeah.
So do me a favor and tell me what would happen if somebody like Kat, who hasn't drank milk from a cow in years, was to drink straight out of the bulk tank. She would get immediately sick, wouldn't she?
Doo-doo everywhere?
I don't think she would get sick right away, but she probably might not like it.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like it. I like the lighter taste.
Explain that taste to anyone that hasn't had it right out of the bulk tank.
Just thick.
Extremely rich, full of flavor.
Yeah.
I guess you would have to. I don't know how to explain it. It's really good. It's full flavored milk. It's good.
You've had this your whole life, though, so it's not a thing to you, right?
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, I like
Probably
it.
haven't had it in the last 5 years, but it's been, it's still something that you think about.
God, getting old sucks, doesn't it? You used to be able to do great things like drink milk out of the bulk tank, and now you're like, I can't even do it anymore.
Thanks for calling to explain it to us, Layman.
Have a great morning.
Have a good one.
Take care. It's Valerie on line 1. Hey, Val, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So, Valerie, I wanted you to call in because we were talking about how, I think it's a myth that parents make up because they want the batter all to themselves when they make cookies or whatever, because I've done it. I've made batter with eggs, and I told my kid, you're going to get worms, and I took it. I took it up to my room, and I watched a show and ate it right out of the bowl, and I didn't get sick. But your husband does. Right?
He eats raw eggs with protein shakes.
Yeah.
And nothing happens
like
to his
4.
belly? Like he doesn't get the poops or anything?
No. And he'll eat like 4 or 5 with a protein shake.
Is he trying to put on mass? Is that what he's trying to do? Is he trying to get big?
He's working out. Yeah. But I will go to the grocery store and buy the pre-made cookie dough, and I will hide it in the fridge so the kids don't know where it's at. And I'll eat it.
You're like a domestic terrorist when you do that.
You know that, like it's different wrapper that says like Spam or something that would be a deterrent for them. I know, some people put it in a bag of broccoli in the freezer, and they just reseal it, and they're none the wiser.
Hey, let's hit you with another shot at $50,000 with our friends at Bradshaw and Bryant and your buds here at KCLD. We're celebrating our 50th birthday. Our goal, to give you $50,000, and you could be the lucky recipient of $50,000 if you're here about 7:30 Wednesday morning. Right now, let's wrap up the podcast. You have an underwear dilemma going on.
I do. And I'm glad to know I'm not alone, because what prompted this, I wanted to just be transparent with what's going on with our packing situation. I was reading that nearly half of all Americans carry backup underwear.
You made me throw out my extra underwear!
In case they have an accident. And then nobody's the wiser. You're not walking around with anything unwanted in your underwear. You're feeling comfortable and clean. So I broke down all the things that I will need a new pair of underwear for, okay? And I just wanted people to call and back me up. The texting is out of control. I love my ladies showing up for me. But I think I'm going to have to pack. Okay, so we're going for 4 days.
You'll wear a pair for the first day.
I'm at about 12.
You'll wear a pair for the last day. So you have 11 pair you plan on rifling through in 3 days.
Day one, travel day, just one. Okay, I'll be good with just one. Ski day, I ski with one. We're going to go out to a nice dinner, so I'm going to come home and shower, put another pair on. And I sleep with my big butt underwear, so I have to every night.
3 for the second day, so you're up to 4.
Well, 3 different nights. So now we're at 7. Okay. And then I I have a massage the next day. Then I'll change into a new pair of underwear. Then we have our snowshoe adventure. So I have to change after that for dinner. And then we're going to this really cool, hoity-toity bowling alley. So I have to have nice underwear on for that.
Hoity-toity bowling alley.
Then I have skiing, dinner, and sleep the next night. And then I have one for travel day. So I'm at about 10 or 12 to be comfortable. And I know that this place has washer-dryer unit installed, but...
In Winter Park, Colorado, is there no place to buy underwear?
I'm sure
that's my backup.
Prices are inflated. I don't need to. I'll just pack all my stuff. I'll just pack all my underwear.
If I was going on a 4-day trip, I'd have 3 pair of underwear in my suitcase.
Gross.
I'm traveling the one day. The other ones, if I got to wash them, I wash them. I'm even a guy that, if I got to wash it in the sink and hang it over the curtain rod, big deal. I wear boxer briefs. It just looks like a pair of shorts. And if I got to buy something, I got to run to a Target or a Walmart, I'll do that.
So you got a different thing going on. I do want to read and acknowledge, who was it? Tiffany says, I pack about 10 to 15 for a 4-day trip. I was blessed with Crohn's disease. So you never know when it'll be coming. You got to be prepared. Yes.
Sandy, let's say you're going on a 4-day trip. How many pair of panties are you bringing?
Oh, gosh. At least 6, maybe closer to 8 or 10. You got to have one for certain outfits.
Yep.
And then, like she said, if she's doing massage or going certain places, definitely you got to change after each thing.
You guys help me understand the massage thing. Why do you need a new pair of underwear for massages?
Well, I'm not going to go with my big butt underwear on, so I'm probably going to put a nice thong on or something like that. And then after that, there'll be oils all over it. So then I got to go home and shower. I'm not going to put those back on for skiing. So I got to put on a different pair of underwear.
Now, Sandy, are you a registered pilot with any of the airlines?
If she skis, she's probably sweating when she skis. What would you say?
Are you a registered pilot with any of the airlines?
No.
No, okay. And neither is Kat, and that's why she wears the big butt underwear, because they say if we ever have to parachute down from a high height, then we can just strap these to the back of the plane.
It's not funny, Sandy. But the thing is, guess who won't be getting a pair? You.
I don't want a pair of your underwear. That's the last thing I want. Listen, instead of having...
Hold on, wait a minute. JJ, why would you have to buy underwear there when you have plenty you could bring with?
I don't anticipate buying. I'm saying in a case of an emergency. Otherwise, listen, for a 4-day trip...
Why not bring some in case of an emergency?
Because I don't need to.
Derek also agrees, as a male, you're way off.
How do you mean? Wait, you need three
pair of underwear for a 4-day trip. You're disgusting. So,
no, listen,
women are prepared.
That is gross.
Yeah,
That is gross.
I agree.
I was kind of curious. Does your family have any kind of coveted home remedy? Now, explain the socks and potatoes and onions thing.
I have no explanation. It was just thrown out on a text thread, and I had to call her out on it. My niece was having some like respiratory issues, and they were like, we're going to bring her to the hospital. I'm like, probably the best bet. And my mom's like, put some potatoes and onions in her socks. Let her sleep through the night.
What does that do?
It just makes you stink while you suffer. I don't understand why she would even throw that out, because she was the queen of NyQuil when we got sick.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I believe in that stuff. I don't believe in, I love essential oils to smell good, but I don't rely on them to cure my child. So Liam got really sick on Saturday. Sunday, nursed about back to like 60%. Yesterday, he was like at 95. But all thanks to NyQuil.
So I get the Vicks thing because it helps you breathe, right? It opens up your airway.
Sure,
You
I'm
feel a little
about
bit
that
better.
too.
You get oxygen in your blood starts flowing a little bit more. I get that. I don't understand. And I thought your husband was doing this for a while. Or no, he had these pads that he was putting on his feet, right?
Well, that was just like detoxing.
Now,
That wasn't because we were sick.
How does that even work?
It was kind of cool. It had like charcoal in it. They were the size of, I don't know, they were like 4 inches by 4 inches. And you'd put them on the bottom of your feet, the arches, and it would stick. And then you'd put a sock on and just sleep. Didn't bother you.
But what happens? It pulls toxins out of your body?
Supposed to, yes. Like if you have like a toxin foot soak. Oh my God, it's so hard for me to say. Foot soak. It's very healthy for your body. Gets all the toxins out that way. So I subscribe to that. I did that one.
David, you got a little home remedy thing going on here?
Okay, so I'm originally from Eastern Europe, right?
Okay.
And as a kid, I remember when we would have the flu, our parents would soak our socks into a alcoholic drink, which is equivalent and the closest to moonshine.
Whoa.
We would then put those socks on, and it is believed that the alcohol itself would draw out the flu, the high fever.
Or
or you'd soak it in.
You get drunk.
Like, aren't those college students putting vodka between their toes?
No, this was my story. When I was playing baseball, we had so many guys on our college baseball team that would chew. And we had, professors that you weren't, the NCAA definitely discourages tobacco use.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get caught chewing in class. Plus, they didn't have a spitter. Uh-huh. And the guys that weren't, some guys would gut it, right? They would just swallow their tobacco chew, which is so friggin' nasty. But I had guys on my team that would take Copenhagen or chew and stick it between their toes because your skin is so thin and there's like little shards of either glass or something that's what pierces your lip, right?
Right.
And it would pierce their toes and they would get their nicotine buzz from chewing and then we'd get to practice and they take their socks off. They'd be all brown and stuff like that. It was nasty. So I would think that if you soak your socks in alcohol and then put them on a little kid,
that your skin would absorb it.
They're going to get drunk, aren't they?
I would say they would have some effect from it. I don't see it drawing anything out, but
it's not as bad as like Cat's butt chugging stories,
right?
But it's clearly something I don't want to do with my kids.
Do not spread that rumor. That's so dangerous.
Angela,
don't do it.
You got a little home remedy for us?
Okay, so I'm a firm believer in the sliced onions in your socks.
Oh, there it is.
Does help. It does, pull the toxins out. But my great-grandpa used to eat Vicks Vapor Rub.
What?
And it cured everything for the man. He was in his 90s when he passed away. Not just apply it to your chest. He would literally take a spoon and eat it. So I imagine my great-grandma enjoyed kissing him after he ate it. So, good breath for sure.
So, listen, I want to make sure that people aren't doing these things without consulting an actual medical professional.
There was a woman on TLC, My Strange Addiction, and she would eat Vicks Vapor Rub all day. She would just take 2 fingers and go in the jar and eat it all day. Cannot be good for you.
I don't want to say her name because I don't want to blow this up, but I'm just going to air back the call we got, and then I want to get your thoughts on this. And again, the subject was, is there anybody who's just kind of you feel lonely, you might never find someone? And this was the call that we got. I want you to hear this.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment about that because I think even a lot of married couples out there, like I would say myself, I've been lonely for 10 years. I'm in a marriage, so it's also kind of a sad
Like, do you think it's a lonely relationship thing or lonely because you don't have that crazy friend group thing or you're just kind of in a rut?
I would say the relationship is lonely. I've got friends, and that's my life now. I mean, it's not the marriage anymore. It's just my friends.
So do you see the end of your marriage forthcoming, or is there a way to fix that, do you think?
I don't know. I think it depends on both of us.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it makes me really sad.
I can hear it in your voice that you're like, this isn't, we all have a way we thought our life would be. Like 18-year-old JJ,
Yeah.
when I go to like bingo on Wednesday nights with my wife, he is so disappointed because he's like, your life was supposed to be way more exciting than this.
But your current self is having a blast.
Yeah, so I think it's, kind of, I've had to do a lot of that over the years. When I quit being an athlete, that was the toughest part for me because I envisioned that as like the rest of my life. So I get it. We're not always down the path we wanted to be in. And then it's just whether or not you can kind of get out of it and restructure it. So, it's probably a telltale sign that you're already talking about it and you feel that way for 10 years, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It's not just single people who are lonely. There's a lot of married ones out there too.
And we never, and that was the call. And you never really think about that. But put yourself in her shoes for a second, Kat. What do you do if you feel lonely in your marriage for 10 years? Do you get out? I mean, we didn't ask her if she had kids because I'm sure some people stay in a relationship for the kids. And I have lots of friends that once their kids went away to college, then they were like, all right, we're splitting up.
I have relatives
our kids can
that
handle that.
have done that. And I don't think that is selfish at all to stay together for the kids. I think that if you're going to fake it till you make it, but if you're like in that relationship where you're always fighting, it's not going to be good for anybody. But I think it's such a waste of your life to
If you're lonely after 10 years, do you pull the plug?
Yeah. I'd say 10 is way too long. If you're going 2-3 years and you have that empty feeling with the person that you're with, why don't you both come to the realization and just say, listen, we're going to be better off not together.
I mean, you exhaust your resources, right? You probably do some therapy or some counseling or something like that. You probably have a lot of long, honest talks at night. You probably find a reason to hang on for a little bit longer. But at one point, you're probably like, what are we doing here?
I'm approaching 40 and I just started thinking like, wow, life is going really fast. It used to go really slow and now it's going really fast. And you never know that cut to, you could be 60 and you're like, wow, I wasted 10 years of my life not being happy and doing what I really want to do. You don't get a redo. You don't get a do-over. So.
I would just be curious if you've been through something like this. Maybe you found yourself in her shoes 15 years ago and you decided, hey, this isn't going to be the life I want. And you made a move, right? And now you're happier than ever. Or maybe you were like, no, we just have to be honest with each other. Here's what we're hoping for and here's what we're hoping to get. And then it got better. Were you on either side of that coin? You want to lend some advice? I'd love for you to text us real quick. Like, I feel like I, have a best friend and stuff like that. Well, I'm just
for
like,
all you lonely people, let's just keep talking about it.
It's got to be rough, especially over the holidays. You probably feel it a whole lot more. You know what I mean? Like you were thinking you were going to have something different and
we get
never mind. Okay, so maybe I'm just happy that I'm not in that situation. Well, I mean, she called us. I didn't call her.
I guest starred on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, which stars Dylan Sprouse and Cole Sprouse. And it was my first kiss. I was very nervous. My first kiss was with Dylan. And it was really funny because I think both of us were so young that we were kind of figuring out how to kiss, and I had never done it, and I was so scared.
So it doesn't have to be an awkward first kiss story, but like the first time you did what? It was so awkward. So I said first kiss, first time driving, maybe first time meeting a significant other's family. And who showed up in our texting, Heather says, first time I met my boyfriend's parents, we were playing pickleball at their cabin. And I swung too hard, let out this huge fart. His girl cousins kept bringing it up all weekend. It was so awkward. Yeah, that would be really awkward.
The very first time I met my father-in-law, my wife and I barely started dating. And I met him. Now, he was about the same age as my dad. And I went up to him and I introduced myself and I shook his hand. And the first thing he said, I remember when your dad broke all those windows in that church.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what? Like, I took him, he goes, oh my God, he was a hell of a baseball player. So in my little hometown, there's this old church. And if you come from a small town, they sometimes have like historical buildings that they keep up, but nobody ever really goes to anymore. So there's this little church on a highway that had been deemed a historical building. Well, my dad and his dumbass cousins, when they were about 15, they were ripping up the road outside this church and repaving it.
Yeah.
Well, one Sunday, because nobody goes to this church anymore, it's like 150 years old. Like, it was one of the first ones in the Midwest. They decided that with all of these chunks of asphalt that had been dug up on the road, it would be a really good idea to throw them at the church and knock out all these 150-year-old stained glass windows. So my dad and his cousin and his, friend start figuring out that if you throw a chunk of asphalt really, really hard, and they'd back up and see who could hit the church from the furthest away and who had the best arm. Well, they all get busted for doing this, and it grew to like this city legend that the first thing I meet my future father-in-law with, he comments of, I remember when your dad broke all the windows in that church. And I was like...
A production of him...
Immediately, I was behind the 8 ball because he thought I was, punk ass like that. And that was an awkward moment. So I wasn't really off on the right foot. I feel like I've bridged that gap over the last 25 years of marriage quite a bit.
3 grandkids. I think you're doing fine. Taylor had texted, I had the most awkward first kiss. I was in 6th grade, and this boy named Nate went in for it, and he smelled like puke, and I asked him if he had just thrown up. He said yes, because he was so nervous.
Oh, that's kind of cute, though.